Hello everybody, you're welcome back again to the Reggae Appreciation Society. One fine day in 1999, at the very peak of my beach combing days, me and two other pals were taking a walk on the clear white sand. As we walked past the huge tent owned by this guy, out of his huge speakers boomed this incredible intro. All three of us were stopped dead in our tracks, and though we had no idea who the artist was, we all knew that we had just listened to something phenomenal and that the reggae scene as we knew it would never be the same again. The brilliant, highly prolific, controversial, and fiery Sizzla Kalonji a few days ago celebrated 30 years in the music business. He's one of the most successful and influential reggae artists of the 21st century, with more than 60 albums to his credit and an uncompromising devotion to his Rastafarian principles. He's a leading light of a generation and was one of the frontmen of what became known as the Rasta Renaissance that began in the mid-1990s. This movement that took Jamaica and eventually the whole world by storm was first led by Garnet Silk, Buju Banton and Luciano. But with the sad passing of Silk in 1994, as that movement was gaining steam, Sizzla and his militant Rastafarian swagger was thrust into the front row and became the tip of that cultural spear. He and Luciano became label mates at the Rasta-centric label Exterminator Records, a label that was the engine room of the cultural revolution in reggae music. However, if the Rasta Renaissance movement were the Avengers, Luciano would be Iron Man and Sizzla would be like Captain America. And like the comic characters, both men were fiercely committed to the same cause, but had different approaches to achieving it, and eventually grew apart, as we'll see later in this video. Sizzla would over time establish himself as the face and most powerful force for reggae in the 21st century. Sizzla Kalonji was born Miguel Orlando Collins on April 17, 1976, in the St. Mary Parish of Jamaica to very devout Rastafarian parents who were members of the Bobo Ashanti Rasta family. When he was very young, his family would move to Augustown in St. Andrews, where he grew up. Young Miguel's father was a mechanic who operated a garage, and the youngster would have dreams of a career as a mechanic when he grew up. He enrolled at Dunoon Technical High School in furtherance of that dream, and was actually a very gifted welder and automobile panel beater. As a young teenager, he was always busy, sometimes fixing as many as 5 cars for customers at the same time in different garages around Augustown, and always had lots of money which he spent in school with his friends. His first passion was fixing cars, but his second love was music, and would sing all day, whether in school or while working on cars. After sharpening his skills on the microphone to a considerable level, he got a gig as a DJ with the Caveman Hi-Fi sound system, where his gruff gravelly tone and sharp sing-jay style quickly earned him a very solid reputation, and by 1994 he recorded his first single, True God. He coined his alter ego Sizzla Kalonji, with Sizzla, which means burning essence, and Kalonji, which means victorious. He would record several singles for various producers in those early years, but made little or no headway until his path would cross with the great Homer Harris, a producer who also mentored and nurtured the career of Buju Banton a few years before. It was Homer Harris who helped Sizzla develop his unbeatable style and introduced him to legendary saxophonist Dean Fraser. And Fraser at the time was director of music at the then hot Exterminator Records, owned by producer Philip Fatis Burrell. Fatis identified Sizzla's enormous potential and quickly signed him to his label, which in those days was the engine room and ground zero of the roots reggae revival, and boasted of conscious artists like Luciano and similar artists on his roster. Sizzla began to tour with his bandmates and was opening act for Luciano in concerts in Europe and the US, which were being organized to promote the Jah Messenger album. Sizzla had a very slow start at Exterminator Records, as his music was unusual and wasn't received so well initially, but he kept on his grind, recording singles from 1995 up until the end of 1996. It was in those difficult days that he would record some of his greatest classics, like No Other Like Jah, Did You Ever, and his future smash hit, Praise Ye Jah. All his hard work paid off by 1997, and he became a phenomenon in the reggae scene. He released 3 massive singles like Mountain, Babylon Cowboy, and Kings of the Earth, which all took Jamaica by storm early that year. What became his trademark of a prolific output of music showed that year, as he would unleash 2 albums over the summer of 1997, the first one being Praise Ye Jah, which featured the smash single of the same name and Black Woman and Child. He wasn't just a commercial sensation, but also got glowing critical reviews by industry gatekeepers. One music correspondent famously said, "He is the most elegant artist in both delivery and content to emerge on the music scene in many years." Some of his songs, should the instrumentals be removed, are simply sheer poetry. His phrasing is precise and his delivery distinctively unusual and expressive, setting him apart from the pack. Sizzla's music was exemplary of what the Bobo Ashanti Rasta family is all about, uncompromising and militant. Songs like No White God were deemed inflammatory, intolerant, and offensive, and even drew criticisms from other Rasta groups. It was during this period of Sizzla's ascendancy that his relationship with his senior label mates and erstwhile biggest artists at Exterminator began to unravel. Luciano never really approved of Sizzla's ultra-militant approach, as his music was likened to water, while Sizzla's were definitely likened to fire. In many ways, both men remind me of Peter Tosh and Bob Marley. As the 1990s came to an end, Luciano quit the label and Sizzla became the #1 artist at Exterminator. His prolific pace continued as he released 5 albums in 1998 alone. He was by then a runaway success as he marched boldly into the new millennium with smash singles and albums back to back. But by 2001, it began to look like success was derailing his direction as a conscious artist and Rastafarian. After a fiery start as a warrior for righteousness, he began to put out music which fell under the category of slackness, the very thing that the Rasta Renaissance was trying to eradicate. The song Pump Up Her Pum Pum in particular earned Sizzla plenty of bashing in the public space. He tried to defend his position, stating that man and woman coming together is natural order, but it didn't sway the backlash and it was labeled a sellout. Sizzla retreated to the studio, desperate to win back the love of his fans, who were yearning for the old days of Praise Ye Jah and Black Woman and Child, and he made his comeback in 2002 with what many Sizzla fans believe is his best album till date in the phenomenal The Real Thing. This album was packed with roots reggae and lovers rock material and was produced by the legendary Bobby Digital. Every single track on that album is a bona fide classic, and it spent many weeks on the Jamaican as well as international charts, with tracks like Why Should I, Mash Down, and Just One of Those Days, all flawless songs that shot Sizzla into the stratosphere of the legends. The song Thank You Mama was so well received that it was played on Mother's Day in Jamaican churches for years. For the next few years, Sizzla's status and stock kept rising, and he would end the 2000s as the biggest reggae artist in the world and retain that crown for more than a decade. He kept on releasing multiple albums yearly, and it seemed like his fans around the world couldn't get enough of what he had to say. Interestingly, Sizzla, whose first job was mechanic, never really left that line. He still fixed cars for a long time even after becoming a star, but transferred his love for engineering to his new hobby of motorbike stunts. An extremely versatile individual with his hands in many pies. He's a musician, a mechanic, a biker and stuntman, a farmer, and a philanthropist. His charity, the Sizzla Youth Foundation, is dedicated to empowering young people with education and training in leadership. He turned 49 a few days ago, and amazingly, he never moved away from Augustown where he grew up, and lives in Judgment Yard, a massive Rasta commune and community which he established himself, and is the base of his studio and record label, Kalonji Records. It's been 30 years since this icon burst into our consciousness, during which time he established himself as one of the greatest reggae artists of all time. His radical and militant outlook often stirs controversy and sometimes outrage, but the truth is, at the lowest points in that genre's history, he stood as a leading light, whose incredible artistry and Rastafarian orientation helped drag reggae back to its conscious and more prestigious roots, and became its avatar for the 21st century. So there you have it. Thank you for watching this video today. Please leave a like, subscribe, and until next time, Jah bless.